Hi, so I said last in my previous video that I do want to briefly talk about my art journey. I think it's very important, for fellow creatives to, in order to know of your artistic journey and so forth, and know that it comes with its own obstacles, its own hurdles. It's definitely not easy following through with your passion and turning it into a career. It's definitely you need to be committed, persevere, and just believe in yourself because there's so much talent out there. So you just need to work on your aesthetic and just stick with it and just improve. And it's a learning process. It's constantly teaching yourself. It's constantly you know just getting fellow advice from fellow creatives. It's also, improving your skills through courses and so forth. Okay, so this is part one of the art journey. I'm basically just gonna talk about the tender years of how I started and then up to the end of primary school or the end of what they call it middle school. Okay, so I started art very early. I started art at age 4. Um, and believe it or not, yeah, that time my parents actually noticed that I actually loved drawing. I used to sketch all these stick figurines and the sun in the corner and all that type of detail and stuff. It's actually funny thinking about it now, like how much I've progressed um, to the arts I am today. Um, but they used to buy me these water paint colors. So I started with that. That was my first paint, the watercolor. So I do actually want to return to a watercolor like art because I haven't been doing it for now for a couple of years. Um, I do gouache paint though, but that was still. I think mostly used that during high school and so forth. So I used to paint with these. It wasn't even those brand name like paints. It was those cheap ones that you just get by the retailer and stuff. And that is what actually started, the curiosity of exploring my creative side. And since my mom is an educator, she used to bring me the supplies like paper and pens and so forth. And I usually also used to watch those programs like Teletubbies and so forth, and Kakalani Sesame. That's like the Muppets version in South Africa. And they had little segments where they, yeah. So as I was saying, there was these creative segments on these shows like Teletubbies and so forth, the stuff that I mentioned before. So they would give you like simple stuff that you can use at home, like cardboard boxes, cereal boxes, stuff like that. And then you can make your own stuff. And I think that's also where my love of crafts also came from because I usually used to try out these little steps, of how to do it. I actually wrote the stuff down, because yeah, this was when I was 4 or 5, because I actually started learning to read very early, a very early age. I think I started reading at 3 years old, and then 4, I was already reading. Actually started school very very early. I started school at age 5. So I was kind of like a prodigy if you think about it. I finished school at age 17. Usually the average age would be 18, 19. So I actually finished it very early, because usually when I used to tell people that my age, they wouldn't actually believe me. They would actually thought I was lying about it. But yeah, I, I did actually finish early. Me and my one friend, she finished at 16. So, but it's the thing is, that time we started before there was actually a law that came in, that you need to start school at a certain age. So luckily I started school before then, so that law didn't apply to me, luckily. And in the beginning of the school years, I did attend private school, and then when I moved across country, yeah, in South Africa, then I only started going then to public schools and so forth. I did go to one public school though when I was still based in, I think, Joburg, but that was only for a brief time. I think a couple of months and stuff. And I think that is where the issue came with the law, the law that came in, that you need to start school at a certain age and stuff. You know, you couldn't start younger, which was actually ridiculous. You know, because yeah, there was like a whole thing about that, like holding me a grade back and stuff. So yeah, my parents actually didn't want that, because I mean, I was a hardworking student stuff, and I wasn't failing anything, so why hold me back? But it's just because of the new law that came in that time. But then I went back to private school and stuff. So yeah, that is quite the journey. So like, I just started, you know, doing these artistic activities. So as I was saying, they usually, for the art stuff, they usually gave us like these activity books where you can just, you know, draw the stuff. So they gave you those grid drawings that you used to do, or just, you know, those puzzles where you could dig the dots and all that type of stuff. So I wasn't actually drawing per se at that point. I was still busy with stick figures. This was probably grade 3 side and so forth. I'm gonna show a picture at the end of the video of my earliest drawing that I still have, and it's very shocking compared to what I do now at the moment. So I think it was, I think, grade 3 that I decided, okay, let me start, you know, improving my art, because I'm tired now. I've gone through the whole stick figure phase. So I started tracing, and and I eventually, it almost actually helped me like with figure studies. And I think that is why I'm still so good with my proportions and drawing the figures and stuff, because with tracing it actually helps you as well. Like, I only realize it now when I think back, like that was actually a good thing for me to do, you know, just perfect tracing. So I usually used to trace, and I always had these themes on my flip files that we had. Like, we had flip files, you know, just to have like activities and stuff, or just to file homework and stuff like that. So I made like a cover like every month or so, and I would change it, you know, and I just use paper with tracing and just coloring and the stuff, and it became good. It became like, you know, people thought I actually drew it myself, like, and I got to a level of tracing where I didn't need to even look anymore at the tracing. And that's when I actually started, you know, drawing by myself, and I moved away from tracing, and then I started doing figures and stuff like that. There was this one project where we had to do sketches of animals, and I was, yeah, I wasn't confident at all in my drawing. I had no faith in my drawing at all. So I actually asked my parents to do it for me, you know, just to help me. So at the, because I felt like my drawings is gonna look so crap. Like, that's how little confidence I had in my drawing. So my parents actually drew the stuff, and I was super upset because it looked so terrible. Like, we still have like a joke today about it, and like they still make fun of me to this day because of that project. And I just burst out crying. I was like, it's so ugly. I can't deal. So I took my I had this, so as I was saying, I had this project where I took my animal teddy bears, because my dad was good with, you know, those machines where you catch the teddy bears and stuff. Like, like, he used to catch all the stuff. Even the shop owners is like, you can stop now, like. But they're like, okay, no, maybe you should, because, you know, you still giving us money at the end of the day. Because that machines, like you just throw in the coins and stuff and you catch like the it was so epic that like people used to watch it and my dad used to do catch these teddy bears in these type of machines. Like he's that good. But anyway, other than that being the point, so I took those teddy bears that my dad obviously like got from those machines, and I just placed it there and I sketched it and I focused to sketch it, and I sketched it freehand, like just watching the thing, and I was so shocked by how amazing it looked. It looked so amazing, and I think that is where that feeling where it's like I love my artworks. Like that was like the first time I actually felt that, and when we had to put up pictures in class, and this is why I win Parents' Day. This is why art will help. So don't like I'm thinking I was cheating over here. Like we had to put this stuff up. It was gonna be embarrassing if the stuff was up there. So when I put the work there, wow, like the reaction of everybody, they were like, wow, this is really good. And I got the best mark out of that. So that was one of my first art projects I did very well in, and it was the first time I actually gained confidence in my artwork. Yeah, and I started believing in myself more and just sticking and improving. So as the years went by, I usually used to buy the kaolin pencils. I started noticing this pencils is very premium. It's not like the other pencils like Stantler and Bic, which is very hard. It is very soft and there's a lot of different colors and so forth. And that time it wasn't so expensive. Nowadays it's super expensive, but it's worth the money. Like paying for that pencils, it's a really good pencils. It's close to Prismacolor if you're familiar, or Faber-Castell if you're familiar with your premium color pencils and so forth. And I started loving color pencil, and then I used Monami crayons, which is made in Korea, South Korea. And I usually used to combine that with the kaolin color pencils, and then I started experimenting, I think in grade 7 or 7th grade. Like, I don't know why some people say it that way. It's okay. So as I was saying, I started experimenting with koki, or what people call markers. Like I don't know, like South Africans have weird names for certain stuff. um, so I usually used to buy the big brand kokis, or let's say color markers, because it doesn't dry out that easily, and that is why I still love using it to this day. I use it a lot for my recent artworks as well. If I still do traditional, mixed media artworks and so forth. And yeah, so that was my artistic journey from the tender years up to 7th grade. And then obviously with high school, I had to consider choosing the right high school with the right subjects, so that when I do study eventually at university or college or whatever, that my subjects were help towards getting into a university, because that's not always the case. You can do certain subjects and then just decide, okay, I'm gonna do something else. But the thing is, if you have like a foundations from high school onwards, it does make it easier. It helps you, and then you also have the knowledge. So choosing the right high school was definitely very important for me. And unfortunately, I had to choose a high school where I knew no one. I had to basically start over, but I made the decision in order to help with my future art and design career. And it was difficult. It was a very difficult choice, because I've had a bond with my friends from 3rd grade till 7th grade, and then I just had to start leaving. But I am still in contact with a lot of them today, but I would have loved having the high school experience with people that I knew in my childhood days and of middle school, primary school, and stuff. But I don't regret it at all. Like, I've made very close bonds in with my high school friends, and we're still friends to this day, you know. And it also helped me get exposed to a lot of different cultures and so forth. But I'll talk about that in the next video. So this video is going to be continued. So I'm just gonna show a couple of my earliest works compared to my latest work. Just to give you an idea of how much I improved. Like, it's definitely been a long journey in order to get to where I am today. And also how I tend to, yeah, so I'm just, next video I'll just go briefly on, you know, my high school journey up to the end of it, and then I'm gonna have a part 3 of varsity and so forth. It's definitely, it's, looking back, it's hard work being an artist. It's not easy. It's definitely not. And you know, some people are gifted so they're gifted naturally with it. They don't have to, you know, take these courses and stuff, you know. And that's one of those things, like those type of people that have the talent and they don't use it is what frustrates me, you know. But I'll explain that later in the next video, why I feel that way about it. And you know, yeah, so now you've gotten a brief, you know, idea of the artist that I would eventually become, that the artist that I am today, and how I found my aesthetic. And you know, it's been a long journey and so forth, you know. Yeah, so until my next video, to be continued. Goodbye.